you'll never see it because I'm always in the back.
You'll see it when you get those photos from Geek Shop Photography. Can I just say really quick, on the longer term, because it's interesting, we'd love to have costume changes. It's kind of working the show so we can take a break, have something playing on the video while we transition. So eventually, hopefully we can get to that point.
I'm working on a Speedo design for Hatchets.
So you're gonna, paint your whole body?
Maybe. Human body on fur.
Yeah. Oh, it's a joke. I get it. Okay, cool. Good question, whatever it was.
What was your musical inspiration?
Musical inspirations. Yeah.
What was our musical inspirations? I started playing guitar because I wanted to be my favorite band in high school, Radiohead. So yeah, that was mine. It changes through time though, so I look a lot for steam-powered Giraffe. I kind of look towards Bjork and David Bowie and the Pixies a little bit because those are bands that I think have a bit of a fun way of expressing different things, and they're just who I listen to get into more of a theatrical way of thinking about music instead of completely downer emotional stuff like what I usually listen to. So, yeah.
Yeah, we all kind of have a different, we kind of bring different stuff to the table, which I think is good, because I like a lot of stuff, but definitely for Steam-Powered Giraffe, you know, Queen, Beatles, ELO, a lot of classic rock stuff, and even folk stuff too. Some of my personal tastes in music don't really, they inspire me, but they don't really necessarily go into Steam-Powered Giraffe. But if I had to pick like bands that would be like, this is what inspired album 1 or 2, I think the Beatles kind of cover a lot of that. So it's kind of a cop-out answer because everyone likes the Beatles. Well, not most people. I have to agree with, I like all of what David said. We're kind of twins. We're kind of twins. His iPhone has a lot of the same songs. I mean, and there's stuff I can't stand that he listens to, just like, oh yeah, go ahead and embarrass me. Cat Power, not a fan. I think it's Sarah Blasko, she's alright, but it's...
What do you inspire by?
Well, those ones, the classic rock seems obvious, but I like Oingo Boingo, I like musical orchestra stuff. And, I don't know, I have some guilty pleasures that I'm not willing to talk about.
Miley Cyrus?
Because Justin Bieber isn't cool anymore. Hey, never say never. I own a Fergie song on my bottom. I like it.
Mine is Jenny Lewis. She was in Rilo Kiley, international solo artist.
If you guys don't realize it, Carolina and Chelsea also have a musical feature in our new live act. So Carolina plays the bass and Chelsea plays a mean tambourine on stage now. And we're thinking about, well, now that we know that she's a ballet dancer, we're going to incorporate some of that. But yes, so their opinion is valid as well.
Good to have your approval.
What inspired that mean tambourine playing? Come on.
What do you like?
Classic rock, Beatles, Queen.
Oh no, we already said that, you can't.
And I listen to, I mean, just as far as what I listen to a lot of scores and soundtracks too.
It's a little bit different for me because usually the question is about, you know, how these three get inspiration for writing their songs. For me, I take more inspiration for mixing the songs, and I'm lucky enough to work at the La Jolla Playhouse, which is one of the, if not the biggest regional theater in Southern California, as my day job. And so I take inspiration from all the musicals that come through. One in particular that was relatively recent was a musical called Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, which is after the album by the Flaming Lips. And that one is actually pretty pertinent now because now that it's just the three robots on stage, we play to a lot of backing tracks, as you may have heard last night. And Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots was almost entirely backing tracks. And at the time, I didn't know that I would be going that route, but I was still curious as to how that all worked. And because that came through the Playhouse, I got kind of first-hand experiences that what I could do to make that sound better and blend it and learn how to program the board so it worked better. So I get lucky enough to, you know, work along sound designers and engineers who have been on Broadway, and I think that is a better style of mixing for this group than most just like live clubbed rock, screaming loud rock bands. And so I hope it sounds good, and I hope that the theatrical nature comes through rather than just being, you know, a band.
You guys always talked about your musical inspiration, but as far as your inspiration for the types of skits that you do, your jokes, that kind of thing, where do you draw your inspiration from for that?
Will Smith, a lot of the times it seems like. A lot of Will Smith jokes.
That's a good question. I don't think we've gotten to it. Yeah, well, David and I definitely, you know, we took a mime class, so I mean, we watched a lot of Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin. We try to, more so now than probably when we, our stint with John, we've really tried to go back to the roots of our training. So, you know, there's slapstick. I think the Western bit, even though it's so long, I mean, it's so funny. Like, and it's so fun for us, just because it's, you know, we could do that same skit in a different location with the robots, and you'd come up with tons of ideas. So yeah, I mean, we could bore people a lot. Just yeah, but you got to do it for yourself sometimes. And we have fun up there, we're just kind of messing around. Yeah, sometimes the plain size isn't the most fun thing. No, it's kind of fun. But yeah, I would say I watch a lot of comedians, but cartoons as well, like old Looney Tunes. I don't like Hanna-Barbera, but Looney Tunes and stuff. Like all that kind of, as a kid, you don't really realize how hilarious it is, but then you see it later as an adult, and you're like, I was so into those cartoons that I didn't even realize the humor, because you just thought humor was supposed to be that way. But then when you get into the real world, it's like, oh, things aren't as funny as cartoons are. So now, looking back on those, they're just really funny.
Like this Mike likes it. I really just am jumping on the backs of these two. I've always loved, I don't know. That imagery.
Sam's a funny guy naturally,
Well,
so...
there's no, like, I can't pinpoint, like, oh, I want to write skits and bits for...
You like Tim Eric though, right? You're a big fan, right?
I mean, the first guy that I really fell in love with was, and I totally messed up middle school for, because I'd stay up real late at night watching, was Conan O'Brien. And I love he kind of raised me. And, and you know, it just kind of all those great people that you find. Yeah, Tim and Eric is a very recent one. First I watched those two guys, I'm like, this is stupid. And then, but I love their humor now, so, I don't know, yeah, I like creating stuff, and so any opportunity in the band where it's like, let's change gears from drawing and making music to write some funny stuff, and it's like, okay, that's not a problem, that's gonna be fun. So that's a good question. I've never thought about that, and I'm glad that it's noticed, you know, because we do work on those a bit, and it's always changing, and thank you for noticing and asking the question.
Yeah, it kind of goes like, oh, we've been working on music too much, now we have to focus on the bits more. Like, oh, our music's sounding